Welcome to the Huang Show. My name is Huang with Hand Therapy Secrets. Today we're going to be talking with Noha. She is an occupational therapist and we met through one of my programs, and I really loved having Noha in my programs, and what I saw was this energy about her, and she was telling me how she started out her own business and she's got a therapy clinic. So if you are at all interested in specializing in hand therapy, thinking about what could be possible for you in the future, everyone comes here at different stages in their career. Whether you're kind of starting out and you're thinking, oh, like, could this be me in the future? Or if you're kind of in the middle somewhere and you're thinking, oh, wow, I would love to potentially have my own clinic one day. Well, Noha's going to share her story of how she started on her own and what's driving her, and some key tips that you can use right away if you're thinking about doing your own business, or if you just want to be inspired by her story to jump out and do her own thing. So have a listen, and I hope you enjoy. Now, if you're an occupational therapist or a physical therapist and you want to dive into a little hand therapy and want to become the expert hand therapist in your area, I've got several different programs that I'm going to include it below in the links. And I've got several different programs to get you started, or if you've been doing stuff and you want to become a certified hand therapist, I've got the link there for you as well. We have the hand exam prep program, and take a look and see what you need.
So welcome to my show, Noha. Thank you so much for coming on. And I wanted to bring you on the show because you have your own business. Like, you're an occupational therapist, you have your own business. Woo, woo. I love to show more and more OTs out and doing some amazing things. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, what kind of practice you have, and all, whatever you're willing to share. We want to use your story to inspire other OTs.
Okay, great. So I opened up my practice about 2 years ago, actually over 2 years ago. We're going on 3 years. And the reason why is because I worked for other hand therapy clinics, and I was like, I love the field. I love hand therapy. I love the personal aspect of it, because you get to really get to know your patients, and they come to you and you build like a connection with them, and they trust you. And I like that personal experience as well as the medical component of hand therapy. And so working for other practices, I saw some things that I wasn't really crazy about. So I was like, I think I want to kind of take my own path and do things a little bit differently. So I did, and I took a leap, and I opened up my practice in a very small office 2 years ago, and then we just relocated to this bigger office about last year in September. So
good for you. So that was fast. Yeah. From a small.
I was like, we're relocating. Yeah.
You're like, man, I gotta reprint these cards again.
I still have old flyers that say the old address, and I'm like crossing them out, Yeah, so
That's awesome.
It's been definitely great, and a great learning experience, to say the least.
Right, I know. So as someone who, I feel like it was just yesterday that I opened, like, it amazes me that I've been open for as long as I have. Can you share with us something that has worked really well to help grow your practice?
Okay. So the big thing that has worked really, really well for me, and I'm so thankful that I did, is that I kept my starting cost really low. I didn't go all high end tables, equipment, rent, like I made sure that even if I could afford it, I went below that, because I wanted to start small and low, and then hopefully as things progress, then I would start to go big. But that's huge, I think, for me, because I was able to stay above water because I kept things so minimal.
So you're financially responsible in terms of buying your equipment and your table and just like startup fees, because it's really enticing to be like, wow, I want this
Yeah.
huge office with big windows, and
Yeah.
a high-low table that costs thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, like let me take out this loan with this interest rate and I'll build this and I'll eventually pay it back and I'll do this. I saved a lot of money before I opened my business, and then I said I'm going to use that. Like I'm not going to take out a loan to start something. If I don't have the money, I'm not getting it. And I think that's important when you open up your own place. Make sure that you're financially ready, and that you're negotiating contracts. You don't have to say yes to the space. You can negotiate it, the contract. You could
right,
things that you could do to minimize your costs, because you have to look in the future.
right.
Doing that has allowed me to stay above water, especially during this time.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
It's like really tough for businesses right now. The biggest, I think, like no business has ever been through COVID or any kind of pandemic. Well, I'm sure that strategy has helped you because you're a new budding business. And so if you had like huge loans and stuff like that, that would really hurt you. What are you doing right now to manage and plan? So I have a thing on my board that says, how am I going to play out the last quarter of the year, right? So it's like a football game. I call it football. Half, where we're in halftime right now, and I have to think, how am I going to play out this game so I can win? Like, how am I going to play out this half the year, half of the game, so I can win? Do you have a game plan?
My game plan is marketing. My game plan is like the money that I've been able to sort of save to the side. I've been really wanting to focus on just kind of marketing. Hopefully starting a podcast pretty soon. So just kind of focusing on the different niches that we can provide, and just really getting our name out there, because we are still a fairly new business. So
right.
And it's about marketing at this point.
Yeah.
Getting
Huge.
it.
Marketing is huge.
Yeah.
I've spent years. It's a work in progress.
Hard because you have to find the right person to actually understand what OT is. Because you can't have someone run your social media and your website and your flyers if they don't know what you do.
Yeah, they don't. That's been a struggle for me too. I actually just hired a marketing assistant, and they don't write. Like I still write all my stuff. Like, girl, you get all my emails? That's me. You. All my posts, that's me writing it.
How do you find the time?
Well, I think I just did this video where I said, what did I say? You know me with my notebooks. I've been writing stuff down. So I wrote, work like nobody else works, so you can live the life that nobody else is living, right? So I work a ton. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I work a ton, but I have an app, and I'm not an affiliate or anything like that, but I started using Trello. Are you familiar with Trello? Trello, Trello. So it's an app. You can do it off of your phone, or you can, and you could do it off of your computer. So you can create like these boards, and there's somebody, and I'll have to look back in my email. There's a couple, there's a lot of business coaches. So I look at different programs and different, I do a lot of learning. So, cause you have your OT skills, and then you have your business skills.
Right.
And when I first started, I thought all I needed were my therapy skills. And if I could just get people to understand therapy skills, that I had them, that everyone would just flock to me. But in actuality, that's not the case, because you can have a great product, but if no one understands what product you have, then they won't ever buy from you.
Right.
So, and it's not that I don't love occupational therapy. I throw occupational therapy in there all the time, but I don't lead with occupational therapy because even within occupational therapy, it's so big, right? Even within occupational therapy, physical therapy, it's so big. And so no matter what you quote unquote are, that's not what people connect to. People connect to the problem that they have and the solution that you have to offer.
Right.
So that's marketing. And it is hard to find someone who really knows exactly what to do, because you think you're hiring them, and someone who knows exactly what to do are very, very expensive. So you kind of have to learn a lot. And even if they are expensive and you can afford them, they might not have your voice, or they might not have your strategy. And part of it is like, you have to have a strategy. You have to learn all this stuff so you can understand how to delegate that job to them. It's not necessary that you have to do it all. It's just that I had to create my own like voice. Who am I actually helping and stuff like that, so that the person who's coming in to help me knows how to help me. So I use Trello, and I really like it because you can create different boards, and then you can, within a board, you have these lists. And so when people talk, I listen, and then I go on my app on my phone, because girl, we always on our phone. Those are my kids and my husband.
Oh.
Yeah, that was when we were on our European trip last year. We're not going anywhere this year. We were on a cruise. That will be like the last cruise in like a long time. But and they're already so big. But I use my phone all the time. So it's an app that I have on my phone. And then when I get an idea, I go and I'm like, whatchamacallit? Oh, let me write this question down. And then if I have a minute, I'll start writing stuff. And then I just chunk all how I teach. I just chunk all this information. And I'm like, okay, these are the topics I want to talk about. This is how I want to talk about it. And then I'll type it out. And then my assistant, who just started with me about like a month ago, like I have to teach him my strategy, and I have to teach him how I speak in a way. And then he's kind of starting to learn. And then he's taking what I'm saying or what I've said in the past, and then just, putting it out for me.
Yeah. That's okay. Because you are the brand. Like, you are the voice of the business, the business,
Yeah.
So a better way than to personalize it, because if it's, people are intelligent, consumers are very smart, so they understand when you're a robot, versus a person. And they, to really be able to connect with people on your own as who you are, as a person first, than a therapist. I think that's huge in building your clientele and allowing people to trust you.
You're right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've got a plan for marketing, which is really awesome. So let's go backwards a little bit and talk about when you first started out. What's one huge mistake you made that if you could save one soul, if you could save, nobody listens, they're like, it won't happen to me, but still, you could just save one person from making this mistake. What was your mistake?
My mistake, well, there was a few really big mistakes, but
I made a few too, but that's okay. Just one. It's okay. Just one.
Get a really good biller. A really good biller, a biller that knows occupational therapy billing, because me not knowing billing, I thought that like if you're a medical biller, then you know how to bill, but billing for a doctor is different than billing for a therapist.
And
I learned
it
the hard way. So I've been through 3 or 4 different billers. I'm good now, but get a really good biller.
Yeah.
And ask around, like get a referral, ask people in the business.
How do you know that it wasn't good or that you have a good one? If like, how do you know?
Well, when I wasn't getting checks. I wasn't getting paid.
You're like, I don't see my money.
Files of claims, incorrect CPT code, like it is total disaster. And you know, it's it was definitely something that I needed to learn on my own too, because you know I thought just turning on the lights, I was gonna, you know, I was gonna be in, and I would turn on the lights, and I would just, the money would just flood it, you know, like I had to dodge.
There
the
is
dollar,
something
you know?
special about me that I will beat all the odds.
Yes. So I learned that a really good biller goes a long way, and then you know, and build a relationship with your biller. You know, let them know what who you are, and what you're trying to do, and how you want to build, and build that connection. And don't be afraid to reach out to them if you have a question. You know, things like that. Like build that connection with them, because that's huge too.
Yeah. Did you go with a like an independent biller, or did you go with a company?
I went with the company, but they're specific for PT, OT, and speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Cool.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that because I just asked my biller to come on the show with me and talk about billing to spare people the the mistakes, because I didn't go through as many as you did, but it was simple when I went through mine. Like and the first one was recommended, and it was. I think that I don't know if people had told you, but people certainly told me, like, oh, you can just do it yourself.
Oh yeah.
You could just hire someone that, you know, kind of like on the side that works for a medical practice, and then they'll just do your billing. And I was just like, that doesn't sound right. Like, no.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Like I was like, oh, okay, because you know, I have to admit, like as OTs, we are nice. And so we are very, very nice.
We're too nice, Noah. We're too nice.
We give people a chance. I mean, yes, everyone deserves a chance.
No more. I cut that out of my life years ago. No kidding.
You know, so I had the one biller I had, she came into my office like an angel out of like, and she was like, I can do all your billing for you, and I can do this, and I can do that. And it turned out to be a total disaster. And I gave her a chance, and it turned out to be a total disaster. So, so I learned that pretty quickly, that I needed to just be like, no, like you have to do your research, do your background checks, figure out, like, you know, make sure that you walk away when you have to walk away, and respectfully, and you know, and make sure that all your bases are covered, because this is your baby, you know.
Yeah, it is our baby.
Yeah.
I always told my husband I could either have another baby or have a business. He was like, have a business, go have. He was like, I always say, I'm 44, and I always say that if I started a little bit younger, I might, you know, like. But my husband had capped out at 2. He was like, he goes, go open the business. Like, you see why he, like, you know, you're like, wow,
well, that's
works so much. I'm like, that's because that man is like, please go away.
Well, that's what happened to me. Like, I am a single mom, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna have any kids anytime soon. I'll invest in myself.
Good for you.
Yeah, I was like, let me just do this, and I did.
So let's talk about that. I think sometimes people think they want to start before they have kids, or they want to start after they have kids, or they're, you know, maybe they're single moms and think that they can't do it. So I would hate to discourage someone just because they're, you know, whatever they think their situation is, right? So how do you balance that, like, business and mom, because you're a single mom, there's a lot on your shoulders. I have my husband shove the on him all the time. I'm like, oh, I gotta work late tonight, I'm teaching.
It's, you know, you have to strategize, you know. The business is business, work is work. When I'm home, my phone is away. I spend that quality time with her, even if even if it's just 15 minutes. I know that I have to, because that 15 minutes goes a long way with a child. So when I'm home, I'm home. I'm not business. So there's no phone, there's no computers, there's nothing. It's just me and her, whatever she wants to do. But she knows, like, mommy's busy, so you have to also respect mommy's time too. When I go to work, I'm at work, so you text me like throughout, you know, especially during this pandemic, it was a little difficult. But yeah, like, it's just, for all the moms out there, or the ones who are like, I just want to have a family, or I want, should I have a business first? I really think, like, if you have a passion and a desire and a vision, if you wait too long to pursue it, it's gonna just prolong it, and you're gonna psych yourself out, and fear is gonna overcome you, and eventually time is gonna pass you by, and you may not be able to accomplish that dream that you have. So if you have that motivation and that passion, jump right in with the tools that you gain while having, like, with the mentorship, like, get a really good business lawyer or an accountant and jump right in and go for it, because there's never actually a good time. It's just, there's never going to be a perfect time. Just have a plan in place and make sure that you can separate business with personal, because that's important too. We're human. So.
Yeah, I'm not very good with that. I don't separate. I'm gonna be honest. I don't. I don't. I'm like, it is very it's very intertwined in my world. It's not right or wrong, depending on what you want. It's just set boundaries. But so I let my kids know when I'm doing certain things. I make them listen to a lot of business podcasts with me. They're like, I can't stand this person anymore. Or
what? I see your daughter on the videos, and she's like, and I'm like, this girl's gonna be a genius, like, hand therapist, because
she's making splints better than most OTs already. I've been splinting for the last 2 years.
There you go. Done. Like.
She's funny. They love coming up to the clinic, but I think that that's important too. Even though I don't necessarily separate everything, I think it's important for our daughters or our sons to see us really work towards something we're passionate about, and they know that I am passionate about therapy skills, and then I'm passionate about business skills. Like, what do you need to do to make sure that the business survives, and the business thrives, and that, we have an opportunity to bring people along with us, like the people that we employ, like, other OTs, other people that you have an opportunity to develop and improve their life in some way or shape, and I think my kids get to see that, even though my daughter does use the like, oh, you work all the time, to manipulate me. Like, she really does. I don't buy into it, but it does sting a little bit.
Guys, I just texted my daughter today. She's like, we're at the beach. Wish you were here.
Well, somebody got to go to work so that you can be at the beach on your phone. It's funny. I just gave my daughter a phone, and I thought she'd text me more, but she doesn't.
My daughter texts me from her grandma's phone. So.
Oh yeah, no, but even like, I thought for sure when she got her phone, because she's going to middle school, when she got her phone, that she would, call me or message me, but she doesn't. But
that's a good thing.
It's like a little sad, but I'm like, oh good, I have all this time. But I have been much better, obviously lately with COVID hitting us and stuff like that, and they're bored, they don't socialize as much, and so we do. I stopped watching TV. Like, I was such a TV watcher. I used to watch so much TV all the time, and movies and stuff like that. And when I opened my business, I essentially stopped for like a good 4 years. I stopped watching because I was so like I just wanted to move so fast in business. So like everything I was reading, everything I was listening to, everything I was watching was all business. But I would say in the last year, especially with, you know, with the kids, you know, they go through different stages, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
going through stages where they need you all the time, then they go through a stage where they don't need you as much, and then they're kind of like right now where they are a little bit like they're a little bit needy, but in a like change your diapers kind of way. They just want to hang out with me, which I really enjoy. So like I just go home. I used to go home and you know, cook, clean, and all that stuff, and then by a certain time I would turn my computer back on just to do like a little extra. And now I kind of don't do that anymore. Like for a couple months I just try to get all my work done during the day, and then when I get home, like we binge watch TV for a couple hours, and or we cook. You know, my daughter's gotten into like she likes to cook and bake with me and stuff like that. So you know, like that's how it's not clean or neat by any means, but it works.
It works. I mean, it's got to work for you and your family. You know. Yeah, definitely.
And that but you're right. There's never really a right time. It's just the right time for you. You gotta.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me ask you: did your parents have their own business, or were there people in your life that had their own business?
Nobody. No.
What kind of drove you towards that?
You know, I have my family, my parents are immigrants to this country, and you know, they came here in their 30s. I was actually born overseas myself, and we got the opportunity to come here. And I saw my father, who has this bachelor's degree overseas, struggle to find work here and become something and provide for our family. And he would take any odd job, like he worked from, you know, from morning to night just to be able to provide for our family. And eventually he grew and he started to work in his field, and he did more schooling here. He found he worked for the like, so he built himself up, and he was kind of like my role model growing up, because I saw this man who mopped McDonald's floors to become working for the United States Department of Agriculture, and working from like 2:00 in the morning to 6:00 in the evening, for making sure that we were provided for, and he made sure that we didn't feel the struggle. And so he worked all the way. He worked 6 days a week his entire life, up until he was kind of like, okay, it's time for you to retire now. And he was like, don't let me retire. And I was just like, and he worked since he was 16, because he provided for his family before he married my mom. So he's always just been a provider for our family, and he's always been that role model of just work hard, play later type of situation. So as a therapist, you know, becoming an OT, I was like, okay, this is great. The 9 to 5 is okay. I'm making this much every couple of weeks, and okay, like I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck, especially in New York, you know. And I'm like, okay, this is okay, but how am I gonna have my own family if this is like, you know? And I wanted to be able to do more and make more money, and I wanted to be able to live comfortably. So
you wanted the opportunity.
I wanted the opportunity, and I had that work ethic, because I got that from my family. And so even though, you know, I don't come from a family of business, so I chose this field, but now I want to make sure that I'm able to provide for myself and my family with this career, you know. And sometimes as a therapist, you know, you're working for these agencies, and at the end of the day, they're making money off of your skills and your time. And I just was like, it was hard for me to wrap my head around that, you know. So, yeah. So that's how kind of
more now.
What's that?
I said, but you probably work more now.
I do. I work a lot more now, and I commute a lot more. Like, I do. I work a lot, and and a lot of my work is in my head. Like, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to do this, and then I have to do this, and then like I've got to make sure I post on this, and tomorrow's 4th of July. I got to make sure that the business, I got to do this. But like, it's a lot of the work is from like just thinking about what your next move is,
Yeah.
and then executing on it.
Yeah.
But at least I work for myself,
Yeah.
at least I,
Yeah.
at least I'm not, asking for time off for the, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I can't just gauge,
Ooh,
but
you
yeah.
have like authority. You're like, nobody gonna deny me. I'm gonna do it myself. Every time I try to take off, I'm a boss. You let me go now? I don't know. Did you fill out that slip? Can you really? Can we really afford to let you go this? Yeah.
Like, should we go on vacation this summer? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. She was like, don't you have to ask for time off? I'm like, girl, really? Like, I don't know. Let me hold on 1 second.
Hold on. Let me ask my boss. Boss, can I go? Yes, you can. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah,
There are trade-offs. There are trade-offs, but it's good. You're creating an opportunity for yourself and for your daughter.
Yeah. I mean, and I count my entire family. Like, they're just like, okay, well, work hard now, so later you could be sitting on the beach, hanging.
Work like no one else works, so you live like no one else lives. What a great way to end the show. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you coming on and inspiring other occupational therapists to, even if they're thinking about, is this potentially a possibility? I think it's a great thing. It's not for everyone. I do say that. It's not for everyone. It's for a very particular type of person, because there are lots of different opportunities, and I show them on this show too. I've got a couple of shows coming out that show how other people strive within OT, and they're just as good. You've just found your path, and I'm really excited to continue to watch and see what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to include the link of your company so that other OTs can find you, right? And maybe they might refer to you because of where, like, how you're specialized and where you're located. And then your podcast, I'm going to include that there so that we get you a bunch of different listeners on your podcast.
Great.
All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. It's a pleasure.